Good morning, Beef and Barnzy fans, and welcome back to the show with another edition of the Topeka Las Vegas edition. So, coming to you as usual, I am your co-host. That makes me Barnzy, and joined as usual by the real town of the show, Lean Beef. How are you today? This fine early.
Tired as I am.
So out bowling the USBC Open tournament this week. Once again, a pretty busy week. The seniors, the Codgers had another event and another powerhouse step ladder with another win by Pete. So
yeah, he had his guy Schlem back a couple of weeks ago, and now he's the swing's loose and he's ready to go. He's rolling back the years.
He's back, baby.
Oh, nice one, Damien.
Nice.
Morning, and Mrs. Barnes.
So
yeah, we're going to give you a bit of a rundown of the Open Championships. I'll kind of give you my, I guess, cheat sheet on what I thought. I'll give this as a spoiler alert. I didn't really bowl very well. Yes, that is correct. Yeah, the first thing, I really had a bad cold when I tried to bowl team events. So that's my that's my excuse, and I'm sticking with it. Yeah, exactly. Right. So, let's start with team event. So, I am usually the least advocate of all time for the practice sessions. I think they're a dirty money grab that makes life worse for you every time. Except this year.
Wow.
So I went in with that thought, and we went over to Orleans. I'm like, why am I driving 20 minutes or 10, 15 minutes from over here to bowl over there? It's always pointless. And now we're not even close. At least the other one, it's close.
Right.
So anyway, we get over there, and they're, I'm throwing my urethane ball, and they're certainly playable. So I'm saying to our guys, hey, there's a lot more friction to the right than you would expect. And of course, when you have a little more friction to the right, it always feels like there's more hole to the left, because you don't feel like quite as, in a phone booth. So we were kind of like, we bowled for like 40 minutes and kind of spent most of the time saying to ourselves, well, it's nice to, it's really nice to, meet everybody in your group and kind of get an idea. And I like it because I can talk because our team is it's never really the same 5 people. We usually have 3 of us and then 2 people come in and out. So it's nice to be able to just, kind of chat to the new guys and see what they think. And it might, hey, try this ball off this one and whatever. So anyway, we go over, and Chapman had a practice lane also. And we both agreed that the urethane ball looked by far the best. But the reactives, once we bowled for a little bit with the urethane, looked pretty good also. So anyway, we go over to the stadium, and in our group, Rich Amy is he's the owner of a couple of bowling centers in Waterloo, Iowa. And he God bless him, he puts together our group of 14 teams this year. And the group that I'm in has multiple 20-year bowlers, like multiple. Like, we always laugh about how once they start doing the introductions for our group, I just tell everybody around, just get comfortable. And it's like, with 25 years from Waterloo, Iowa, this guy. With 30 years from Waterloo, Iowa, this year. So it just goes on forever. Well, this year his dad was competing in his 55th championships.
Wow.
So he's had a bit of a tough time this year, and he's had to be on oxygen. So he only bowled the team event this year because he's I guess for 50 years he was in the top 15 in average. He was averaging like 191 or whatever. So that's a legit like high amount. I mean, averaging 190 for basically 55 years of bowling the Open Championships that's a pretty high clip.
And no, they're a lot harder than they are even now.
So. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just for that amount of time, it's just crazy. So anyway, so we had a lot of pomp and circumstance. You know, they had a whole thing where Rich and his son and Fran got led out, and of course, Rich actually won the Eagle a couple of years ago with AJ in doubles.
Okay.
So we had a lot of that stuff. So anyway, we get started, and this year it's one team per pair. You only get 6 minutes of practice, which didn't feel quite as sure as I expected it to, with there being 5 of us and kind of moving around.
Okay.
So that I wouldn't get too caught up in that being like really bad, because at the time I thought 6 minutes, wow, that's gonna suck. But overall, I didn't think the 6 minutes was too bad. But to me, for the first time, the practice session was actually fairly close. I would say that over at the Orleans, I could play a little further right through the front with the urethane, whereas over at the stadium, if I tried to do that, it came off it a little bit too hard for me. So I ended up around 13 with my urethane ball. I had a pitch black, and it hooked quite a bit for me.
13 your feet or your eyes?
With my eyes. So I was playing like 13 to about 6 or 8.
Wow.
AJ had a much better look than I did, and he was playing kind of more as you would expect, like that 10, 8, 10 range at the arrows to kind of like 5, 6, 4. Yeah, kind of how he always manages to just maul them with that fast pitch, his magic fast pitch. And then AJ had another guy on his team who was using urethane also, and they both used it for 2 games. And then their last game, they created so much hold in the middle of the lane. So I believe they shot back-to-back 1100s to finish for 32. I think their team bowled 32.50 or 32.58. Another team on our group, no urethane in their team, they managed to shoot 32.68. So I think that there's definitely a score out there. I think I don't think there's any real, ghosts, so to speak. I think kind of trying to break the lane down around 10 is fine. There's a little, I felt like they were a little softer, but it's easy for me to say that. And I didn't really walk the walk because I bowled 590. But for what I saw, I felt like there was a lot more friction than there'd been to the right. So
your balls were good, which means bigger balls would be fine. They're kind of control balls.
Yeah, I actually thought that if you can use urethane, you can almost skip over all of your smooth balls and go to a quick ball afterwards. You know what I mean? Like I didn't feel like.
What, did AJ throw urethane the whole time?
He threw urethane, and then he went to a really shiny high pin face too. It shined up. It wasn't like polished. But like for me, but AJ has a really high rev. Like for me, I got trapped because I I definitely didn't have the Barnes 6-ball arsenal, put it that way. I thought that I had some things here that I didn't have from when I left Reno. I felt like I'd left my UC2 and a Zen here, but it turned out I'd left those on the truck. So my quickest ball was a shiny RST. Yikes.
All right. Ryan wants to know how I win.
How do you win, Ryan? Win what, mate? I mean,
he's going next week.
Yeah, but win which event? I mean, I already feel like you won the Gene lottery.
Ha, I don't know if he thinks that. So, no, I think we talked about team. So.
I think, Ryan, I think that, like, for you, I think that you're going to be able to use probably your booyah. You might want to work on being a little slower. You're not going to need to throw it the old 20-mile-an-hour heaters. If you can get it to shape a little bit, I think you'll be good. And then maybe your trusty reality will come in good when you move to about 18, like towards the end of game 2. So that would be my blueprint for you, Ryan, for that one. I was hoping to have spoken to John Burkett, because John was bowling really good at the Bowler's Journal, and I thought he was on my squad last night. But he wasn't, unfortunately, because, like I say, I wanted to know what he felt like the difference between the Bowler's Journal was to bowling over at the bowling center, because they hook like a we're not allowed to say that anymore. So they hook a bunch over at the bowling center. Oh, look. Oh. Man. Bonnie, you could have got some of that 6'8" gene. One of the guys who was in our group, Rich Amy's son, plays in Europe basketball. He's a smooth 6'8". He bowled his first 600 set. Beat me in team event. Cool. Had one spare in the first 19 frames.
Still no problem.
Struck a bunch.
Yeah. Well, speaking of, you said before we go into doubles and singles, and this kind of goes into part of where, Mike Jazz now is back out at Nationals again, right?
And he's been over watching most of the better bowlers bowl the last few nights, even me. So he's collecting a lot of data to try and help everybody. He's over at the Orleans, so yeah. I believe Ryan's referring to me there. Yeah, so definitely check him out. If you want to book a lesson with him, he still has slots left. Reach out to him on Facebook is how he told me to get in touch. But talking of coaching.
Exactly. One of our sponsors of the show, it's been a few weeks since he ran his ad, and he is actually currently running a Camp Bakes out in Las Vegas. So he is up and running and back to nearly full speed. But here is our friend of the program.
Mark Baker here. Are you struggling with your game? Do you need another set of eyes? Is there that one thing in your game you just can't fix? Please let me help you. Go to markbakerbowling.com, click on virtual lessons, and follow the 3 easy steps. Remember, you can live anywhere in the world, and with virtual lessons, I can help you. Look forward to seeing your videos. Thank you.
My personal favorite for best coach in the world. Also a big fan of Mike Jazz now.
Anywhere in the world.
Anywhere in the world. And it's crazy where he's getting people from. He's at about 7 different countries now, but he's got some regulars from. It's kind of cool. So
let's just quickly answer Ray's question. It says, okay, how much rev rate do you need to get the ball to use urethane? Or is there a way to project it out more when getting under the ball to control the heads? Well, if you're talking about with urethane, for me, the key to urethane is you've kind of really got to hit it on the up. That's the main key to urethane. I don't really think that there's Frankie's pretty good with urethane and his rev rate's not high. Darren Tang's really, really good with urethane and his rev rate certainly isn't considered high. I mean, it's not low, but it's not considered super high. I think it's just about speed, really, with urethane.
Yeah. I mean, I'm at 400, give or take. Yeah. From a tour standpoint, that's pretty close to not being enough from an average Yeah, I'd say Open Championships. I think that's probably enough, provided, like you said, speed matches up well. So, yeah,
yeah, I would think that would have a chance, Clint. Yeah. Like I say, you're just looking for something. I mean, it's not really anything, groundbreaking here. You want something kind of smoother on the fresh, and you want to try and your best in your group to be able to stretch the pattern. And if you can stretch the pattern a little bit, then there's enough hook to the right that I feel like there you go, Simo. I just feel like there's enough hook to the right this year that if you can get the pattern stretched a little bit, it's not about like throwing those. I don't think since Hoagland started doing the lanes and making them tougher that there is really a way to burn a hole in it. I think that that's like long gone in like people's minds. I think the reason why that worked before was because they were actually quite easy to start with, and you just added a little bit of dry to the right. But the spot that you end up trying to use down the lane, you never really dry off with the way it does the pattern. So to me, to make those patterns easier, it's all about trying to get a little bit more hold, and then everything seems easier.
To add to what you're saying, I think burning a hole in the front works when the majority of the oil is in the front. It's hard to break down 15 to 35 feet, and Nick puts way more oil down at that end of the pattern, which makes it hold up. That's the theory behind it. Is it makes the patterns hold up because you can't really break them down very well. So, yeah. So.
How well did Zen match up at the Open Championships? It looked really good for quite a few people on singles and doubles. William off the top rope for Simo. Is that the new career you were talking about on the show?
So segueing into that, so doubles and singles, you move down to the traditional bowling center at South Point, the split side 64 or 60.
No, 64.
Is 64?
Yeah, 64 there and 60 at the other place. We got on a pair that I wasn't necessarily like super uber thrilled about. We got on 35 and 36. I would have loved it if we could have been 39, 40, 41, 42, somewhere around there, like a couple of pairs further over, but whatever. If you're bowling on that pair, the left lane is about 3 tighter than the right lane in the wrong place. So we kind of I knew that AJ wanted to throw urethane, and I didn't really want to do that because we were bowling 6 games. I figured if both of us threw urethane, then it probably wasn't going to hold up. It was going to hold up for a lot less time. And I also didn't think that 2 guys throwing urethane would be necessarily conducive to the singles being good. Somebody just asked me, yeah, we're doing it's 4 per pair, 2 doubles teams per pair. Again, 6 minutes practice. I didn't really get a clear picture of what I should do on that. I felt like I could probably move in a little bit more than where I was. I was kind of playing 10 to about 5 at the end of the practice. But I tried moving into about 13, and the ball dead hooked off my hand. So knowing that, for my first shot, I tried to be like tumble it more. And of course, I threw it straight in the right gutter. So that was a good start. But of course, the ball bounced out the gutter and got 1. So then I had to wait about 2 or 3 minutes to get somebody to come down to, change my score. Because of course I was going to cheat. What?
All right, folks. Thanks for installing vidIQ 1.
Sorry about that. I don't know what just happened. So anyway, of course, I had to wait to get the scorer reset and everything else. So then I went up and I did the complete toe maneuver and left the 3-6-10 off, being scared of throwing it in the gutter again. And then, of course, I went up on the left lane and I made sure, well, it looks like I can go straighter. Okay, I'll move a bit right. Threw it straighter, threw it through the back of the building on the tighter lane, left the you know, a washout and went 6-2. So I had 15 in the second frame. So, you know, super loosey-goosey to start the old doubles. AJ started with the front four, but the urethane look kind of went away pretty quick on that pair. And I think it was a lot to do with the left lane being tight, because it kind of was just like he threw a couple of really good shots that ring 10, and then it really made him try his best to really hit the nuts off it on the left lane. And that kind of just, it wasn't a recipe for success. So anyway, I started kind of like shaping it more to the right. Just really trying my best to be soft off my hand. And I managed to get out with 190. And then the second game, they just, I don't know, they just got worse and worse. I got in that, I kind of forgot that I was bowling the South Point Bowling Center, I think, in my mind. So I was getting the ball dead in the track, which is like the worst thing possible. And yeah, it was just bad. So I managed to shoot 170. So I spent the entirety of the third game trying to decide which of the 8 balls I shouldn't use for singles, because at that point it was over and out. Sorry. So the only time I actually managed to find hold was when I got to about 22 at the arrows. And then it started to, I started to see the lane a little better. So I got with my shiny X1, tried to use a little slower speed, but not slow, but just geared down a little bit. And I was getting it to about, you know, on the right lane, I was getting it to about 6 at the break point. On the left lane, I was probably getting it to about 8. And that's really kind of how I ended up having some success the last set. I had 459 for the 2. I shot 215 and 244. The 215, I had a couple of really like good shots in the 7th and 9th, 4-pin ring 10, and I was a little hot about those, to say the least. The last game, I had the front 7. I was getting super excited that maybe one time I'd be announced at the USBC Open Championships as a bowling celebrity on the squad. I feel like I should almost be at that stage where I'm announced as a celebrity, because I'm certainly not a good bowler, just as a celebrity. But I managed to screw that up. I cut one off in the 8th and split. Struck in the 9th, and then I got up in the 10th, and I had the chance of the trip saver because I had the 3-6-10 scam. I needed the first hit of the 10th, and of course, because I threw it bad the previous time, I moved left. And, well, I trusted it, except I didn't really trust my hand. So I got it right, but I didn't get my hand in the right spot. So I 2-8, and then, of course, because that's what you always do, made the spare, and I, of course, absolutely dead nutted the last one when it didn't matter for the strike. So hopefully that only cost me $300, not $1,500, because that thing goes wildly different in number. So now I'm cheering for everybody who has a chance to hit the 3-6-10. All of you get it. Let's go. So that was kind of, I don't really have as good a picture of what guys should do on the singles and doubles, to be honest. I feel like talking to the few guys in our group who bowl quite well in team, they weren't massively different for them, like what they tried to do. Kind of playing straight or around 8 seemed to be a fairly okay solution on that. I think that a few people are saying that the pattern's shorter than it normally is. I don't think it is. I just think there's so much friction in the bowling center that that's kind of creating that. So it really wouldn't surprise me, given what I saw and how the lane broke down, if the pattern is 42 feet. It just hooks a bunch in that track area. So I feel like there could be, you know, somebody could figure out a solution and absolutely maul them over there, because, you know, there might be, because when we bowled the Bowlers Journal there, you know, there's been some really high 800 series and stuff. But at the same time, I think if you shoot, you know, 1350 for your 6 games in that one, you've done, that's a pretty good number. So the scores definitely were lower for our group in that than they were in the team event. But like I say, then you see this and it kind of makes sense. To be fair, one of the guys who shot 300 did shoot about 630. So, yeah. But like I say,
all that minors, by the way, are guys that have monster teams generally. But just so we're clear about that. Hi, Riggs.
Yeah.
How you doing? So,
yeah, I always think that's a little like odd, but whatever.
Yeah.
Hey, my major was singles. Let's go.
So.
I told the poor guy who bowled team and doubles with me, I said, I hate to break this to you, but I've got the Bartlett funk off me now. I'm going to shoot 750. And then he looked at me and he's like, yeah, okay. And then going into the 8th frame, I could still shoot 750. And I struck it the 7th with the messenger or whatever. He just looks at me. He goes, suck it.
So generally speaking, as usual, the track looks a lot more in the stadium, or in the, not the stadium, the actual bowling center for singles and doubles. And,
yes, definitely. And like I say, for the cliff notes, for me, the stadium, every year that I've bowled in the Plaza Stadium, whatever we want to call it, they've hooked more. And this year, I would say that there's quite a bit of hook to the right in comparison to how they'd been. Like when I'd bowled previously, urethane wasn't really an option because when I got it right, it never picked up. And when I kept it in, of course, because it was close as the head pin, it kind of really came off it hard, and it just didn't look like that greater option for many people. I personally think the team that ends up winning is going to have at least 2 guys throwing urethane early on. But we'll see. Obviously, for guys with higher rev rates, and that with the way the bowling world is right now, tends to be the better bowlers. That's just the way it is. That they're going to want to use urethane because they're pretty good. So I don't know. I didn't see any, so I don't know. It might do.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about higher rev rate guys with 5-inch, phase 2s that are tall. I mean, it talks about strong balls, basically, but kind of strong in the middle, but still, they're using that shape a little bit, and that's what mixed patterns do a little, is they slow down even bigger balls. So you can use them sometimes. They don't necessarily shape the same way they would normally shape because there's less back end.
Yeah, if you check out the topography, they've got the topography graphs up. So they only have them up for the Plaza, though. So check that out. Hey, Sean, I'm not allowed to bowl in the 40 frame game. So, yeah. If you're looking for someone to practice and you can't get in over at the Orleans, maybe try and reach out to Anthony Simonson down at the Nerd. He can, I'm sure he can make good on something fun for you guys to practice on. If you actually look at the last few years at Nationals, it's not like they've made huge changes to the patterns. They've been kind of similar-ish for the last few years. So maybe check him out. The Nerd is it's basically the exact opposite end of the strip. It's down on Fremont Street. It's about 20 minutes away. Hey, I love Jones. Even when Stu is sick, he won't let Barnes get a word in. Yeah.
To be fair, I'm not a national, so I don't have as much to add to this one. So,
what is the most aggressive ball you should take or shouldn't take? It really depends because, like, a reality is really strong for me. It might not be really strong for Tina. That's an example. I wish, in hindsight, that I'd had a few more quicker response balls. I didn't do that because I thought, A, I thought I had at least one or two here, and B, I also was like leaning towards it's nationals. Usually they're usually pretty slick. I kind of feel like I'll be okay. I didn't do a very good job. And ironically, the one time where I thought I would definitely need the quick ball was the last the 3 games of singles. And that's when I mauled them, and I might not have mauled them if I'd have been using a fast response ball. But I just felt like the lanes just got kind of shitty. I think AJ used, I think he shot about 1320. I'm not 100% sure. It says, what would you recommend service standpoint? Nothing really rough. Maybe rough is about 1,000. And then asymmetrical or symmetrical. I don't know. How much is it? How long is a piece of string?
Both.
Yeah. I mean,
have variety and have a couple of balls that work all the time and 3 that don't work at those times. So you have your bases covered.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I feel like you're probably going to be leaning towards symmetrical balls more, but yeah, I overclubbed AJ. He shot 1250. No, he's not even close to leading all events. Somebody shot like 2130. There's a guy, Terry. Terry's a kind of a straighter player. He bowled in our group, pretty good bowler. His team bowled well. He bowled well in team. He like Rolly for team and doubles. So like I think I saw him using a phase 2 and a Zen with 2 of the balls that I saw him using.
Here we can. Oh, we hit at the same time.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah, I'll take this one. Let me sum up this entire episode. Matt McNeil is going to play up 7-8, and he's going to put over his toe a little bit, and he's going to be fine. Because
he's probably going to bowl.
And then the other side is also in South Point. So it'd be good. There we go. There's the whole episode wrapped up.
I didn't bowl on the left, and nobody in my vicinity bowled on the left. So I can make something up, but I don't really know. So
to be fair, that's not what necessarily you need to do. That's just what he's going to do. It's somewhere between.
To be fair to Matt, history would suggest that when they're not completely impossible, whatever he decides is usually a pretty good answer.
Yeah.
Since they've gone to these are completely flat, it hasn't worked quite so good for him, but I don't think it's really worked that well for anybody who isn't named Jacob. So how does an arsenal of Pitch Black, Fast Pitch, Proton, Rubicon, Zen, IQ Nano Pearl, UC2 sound? It sounds okay. I would say that you might be better replacing the Nano Pearl, the IQ Tour Nano Pearl, if you had something that was more like the IQ Tour. So you had because you've got the I just feel like you've got the Rubicon is quite strong to be your like clean color solid. That would be my take on that. But overall, I don't think that's certainly not a terrible arsenal. I think that could give you some pretty good options. Oh dear. So a little bit of bowling this week. Coming up in the next few days. The ladies are bowling tomorrow in Cleveland. So check that out on Bowl TV. And then when's the next senior starting?
Practice would be Saturday. There actually is a battle of the goats going on, I think, right now.
Oh yeah, on Flow.
On Flow. I guess I didn't able to say anything or not, but I've been in Topeka here for the last week. I withdrew from the last event to come and see my sister, who's had cancer for well, effectively 18 months, but diagnosed for the last 10 to 12, and she passed away peacefully last night. So not for sympathy, but just she was amazing. She helped out a lot of people, and she wasn't in front of the spotlight and didn't want it at all. So helped a lot of kids, and was a teacher and did some things with the group that struggled and was on their last leg. And she was looked for wounded souls and tried to heal them. So
yeah, a very big heart.
For sure. So yeah, I don't know if I haven't said about next week yet or not. But there's one more PBA 50 stop coming up in Centerville where we bowled the league and things. And so there's that. And the women have another event. And I said the PBA, the Battle of the Goats is going on, I think, currently. So that's.
Yeah. So now you know a little bit of why I was doing a little more of the talking. I'll use that as my excuse, Chris.
That's fair. You're better at it anyway. So
yeah. So our thoughts and prayers from the Williams family over to you. I don't know when you're going to be back in Dallas, but I'll be down there tomorrow. I will. We will have a show on Tuesday. What we will be covering, I am at somewhat of a loss right now. But, quickly, we've got new balls. Everybody loves new balls. Woo! So check out Storm and Rotogrip's pages because we've got a new code ball. We've got a bright white spare ball. Not sure I'm going for that one. I don't need to highlight when I flag another pit of spare. And then there's a new UFO. So good times around the corner with the new balls. But
I foresee more ball reviews coming. Real talk ball reviews coming on Beef and Barnzy soon. So
yeah, we're gonna get some decent stuff up. How does this Arsenal sound? Redemption, Solid, IQ, Emerald, Rubicon, Widow, Dart Legend, All Out, Show Off, Hybrid, Blackwood. It sounds like a lot of asymmetrical balls, but not knowing how you throw it, I mean, it seems like you have quite a few bases covered. There we go. Linda's always there for you, mate. So, okay. Well, I think we will, on that note, we will thank our sponsors. I'll take this bit, Chris. Storm, Rotogrip, 900 Global, Vice, Turbo, Coolwick, 3G Shoes, Master, Bowler's Mart, Mark Baker Bowling, and the Fire Lake Bowling Center. If you would like to join the party, send us a message. We are more than happy to get a second banner going because we've almost run out of space on this one, but we will find a way. We love our sponsors on this show. And come and join the party and let us know. So with that, stay safe, stay healthy. See you soon.